I've been riding and racing the bike for over 20 years now. I've always had some issues with my lower back, and it was always kind of my Achilles heel, so to speak, on riding. It's the first thing that was going to fail for me. Normal day-to-day activities, riding the bike, then working, sitting, parenting, doing all of life tasks. Like in January or December, actually, I ended up having, hurting my back to where I had a bulging disc. In January, I was, having to drive around with my seat heater on, having to,
You first talked, you're in the car.
yeah, I'm sitting in the car, turn the seat heater on and just trying to relax. And then, you know, everyone that has a social media now, I kept seeing ads, for who's this guy riding his bike talking about, if you're a cyclist and you ride and you've got this pain, you need to call me. And so, I looked and did some research and saw that there were other people that I knew who who you were in communication with already and had relationships with. I reached out, got your feedback. There was a lot of confidence from you that you could get me back to a position where I would be able to, one, not just ride my bike, but have life tasks that weren't going to be, a challenge for me. And that's also what I really appreciated in the initial part of our relationship and in the coaching and the PT work was, your focus was, hey, first I need to get you to a base point where life is normal. Then we're going to move into the bike stuff. And that's what we did. I'm not big on apps and everything, but the app feature was very easy for me to stay on task, stay on schedule, get reminders. The communication was great. The communication was easy, super available. If I needed something, if something popped up, it was like, man, it's very quick response. So I never felt like I was kind of out there hanging out in limbo, even though everything was done virtually. It was pretty, seamless as far as here's the exercise. I've got a video that I can watch of how to execute it. I can watch that a couple times. I can see how I'm doing it and then give feedback. If something wasn't working, then it's quick to, okay, let's stop, make our changes, move forward. And now, gosh, I think we're like 9 weeks in, and I'm not having to turn my seat heater on when I drive around. I mean,
It's humid there in Atlanta now.
yeah, yeah, well, it's nice. I'm not turning my truck into a sauna, but I've got more power on the bike. I feel better on the bike. My back is not the first thing that's going out now. Sometimes it's the lungs or the quads, but it's just a lot of tension that's been released from the lower back that was holding me back in a lot of ways, day to day, but also on the bike, which is where I'm wanting to perform. And so, to me, I had a little bit of mental apprehension going in because you're sitting in Arizona, I'm sitting in Atlanta, Georgia. That's a long way away, but the number of check-ins, the accountability aspect of it, all of those needs were met for me. So I saw a huge value in it from a technique, exercise program, mobility program, and coaching program and leader, someone leading me through this. I saw value in all four of those spots.
And you're a busy dude too, like you own a roofing company. So like being able to have something that is actually easy to execute is like pretty premium. Looking at the business owner, like busy work stuff, having to take care of stuff that pops up like an alligator at a moment's notice. That stuff can be really key as well, right?
Yeah, it's huge because, every day for me is different. We start working at 6:30 in the morning, and sometimes we're working until 8 o'clock at night to get something done and get something closed up before a storm comes in. So then having that ability and that flexibility of one being like, hey, I need to move this to the next day, but knowing, okay, I need to get 3 or 4 of these per week is the goal, 2 or 3 of these per week for the strength session. All of that is worked out beautifully as far as also having the time of day of my choice of when to do that because I've got to run my business. I've got 2 boys that are 12 and 9 years old that require a lot of energy and stress on the back as well. So because they're active and want to play
Yeah.
and have fun.
Yeah. I remember the first day that we talked, you had an employee that got bit by a dog. I got to deal with this
Yeah.
after we get done here.
Yeah.
was like, all right, we're gonna have to be able to work on the fly here, right? I mean, it's really important in terms of designing something for this specific person, not just, not just a cookie cutter type thing.
Yeah.
So in terms of what you had tried before, what were the differences in terms of how you and I put things together that, I mean, I would say like, boldly made more of a difference in improvement for you than like what you had been doing previously.
Yeah. So I'd done some pretty extensive chiropractic work as well as massage therapist work. On the chiropractic stuff, I was at a point where I was going at least twice a week to get an adjustment, and then usually like a weekly massage. So that's three hours basically of time, with some body maintenance. And I was getting, temporary improvements, but I wasn't fixing the core problem of it because I kept having to go back and back and back, especially for the chiropractic work. And so what I found is addressing those core root of my problem is much, I'm having much longer, before my body fights itself to go back to that. So I'm able to grow and grow and grow. And now it's where it's not I've corrected some of those things that are getting in the way, so to speak, of putting my body in the wrong position again.
What's your confidence sitting here right now that you can not only maintain, like I don't really like just to maintain, but to really keep the progress and continue to grow in terms of how your body moves and like looking at longevity on the bike, riding for joy too, but you're still racing at a high level too.
Yes, yeah. So still doing the racing for, until I get tired of doing it. But right now I'm enjoying it. And the other big thing that I've gotten as a takeaway is some of the strength training that we're doing. I'm seeing bigger improvements off of it than, going into the gym and just doing sets of squats, leg press. These are smaller movements that are paying higher dividends for me. And on the activation of these muscles and turning muscles on that weren't on before and bringing those into play has been huge as far as my peak power, for one, has been drastically improved. You know, Everything with running a business, running your life has give and take. So where I've reduced my volume on the bike, I might not have the same endurance, but I've got a higher peak power. And I might not really need that greater endurance because I can get through those harder moments because I got a little bit more oomph, to pass over them. And then I'm still there and where I want to be. And most important, when it comes down to making the move, I've got the leg strength to do it.
Lets you keep the wheel of the likes of Michael Garrison and Preston I, like we were talking about when we first started talking today, 100%. Now, whether or not you can pull through or attack from there, that just might be a matter of finding that fountain of youth. Possible, I suppose, but
Yeah. Hey, look, it's all about, I was a sprinter and lead out guy in my professional career. And the main thing was just make it to the finish. And then once you get it in line, that, you get that extra burst of energy, but it's just, whatever you got to do to get there and just making it and pushing through that. But that's the other aspect of this is to stay committed to the program is it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of effort. And so those things also come into play just in general in all of your life tasks where if you're able to improve your body and improve your mobility and your flexibility, the way your back feels, the way your body feels in general, you're going to see those results. And you're going to see those results because you've been diligent about the work. And it will play into other areas where if you're diligent in other parts of your life, you're going to get those same results that you want. So it's all a compounding effect. And that's part of what I like about this program is it's given me something that's motivating. It's giving me something that's tangible that I can feel. I'm having wins here because of the work that I'm putting in. And so it's a mental game of, the positivity of that and how it affects you in your everyday.
yeah, 100%. I mean, it's locking in the discipline in one area. And I mean, for me, in terms of being a PT for 12 years, and I mean to some degree stepping out of that and making this a lot more about coaching too. Like that is part of the goal of why I set it up like that as well. Like I want you to succeed in life, not only because you have less pain. Let's keep the main thing the main thing. That is the big thing. But also sometimes that burst of that sort of easy to execute, still hard work, like you mentioned, but easy to execute, like lock in the discipline. Like my hope is that that levels up other areas of folks' lives as well. Done a lot of work on that myself. And so like if I can coach that up also, like for you as a business owner, like those things obviously can be gold. And I feel that as well. When I'm doing all the right things, everything goes smoother for me.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, makes sense, dude. Sweet. All right, dude, you're the fucking best. That's gold. I
Yeah,
really
man.
appreciate that.
Look, man, I have had and am having a great experience with the work that you're doing and the relationship. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cherry on the top, though. We're not quite done yet.
Yeah, man.
We
We're gonna
got
keep going.
some
We're
work
gonna
to
have
do. We got a 3 month assessment, looking down the road. And at that point, we just see if there's anything else that you might need, and we can kind of continue to make sure you're not kind of, we can continue to make damn sure that you're on the right track.
yeah,
Because ultimately, my goal is to keep you good.
yeah, man.
And
Yep.
like maybe win another jersey or two, a few more podiums in your future. Keep up with the young guys.
At
Yeah,
least two. Yeah.
at least two.